You're listening to the Business Mike podcast. Amazing interviews with entrepreneurs and industry thought leaders.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Mike podcast. And joining me today is Ilenia. Ilenia, can you just let the listeners and viewers know a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you so much for having me in your very insightful and knowledgeable podcast. My name is Ilenia Vidili. I am a Customer-Centricity advisor, trainer, keynote speaker, and author of Journey to Centricity. So that's what I do in a nutshell. I provide services about customer centricity to middle-sized and large corporations.
Right. And the question I always ask my guests is, how did you end up in customer experience as a profession? Was it something you always did, or something led you down this path and here you are? What's the journey there?
So my journey in customer experience, it really started from the very beginning of my career. My very first job was in marketing in NEC Corporation. And the way I started in customer experience was because my job was to promote and market biometric and facial recognition softwares. So these softwares were an enhancement of the customer experience or patient experience or passenger experience, any experience, basically. We would sell softwares or facial recognition to airports or perhaps really high-end hotels to recognize, for example, a guest who had been in the hotel before and to provide a higher, more enhanced experience, for example, with a different salutation, a personalized greeting, for example, or knowing when the guest had been before, and what it liked at the hotel, etc. So that's where I was that's how and when I was exposed in customer experience. That's when I started understanding why the customer was really important, why the experience of that customer, the enhancement of the experience was important to businesses, and how to enhance the experience. Facial recognition softwares, how do they work? They basically identify facial features of someone and identify their emotions, whether they say like a product or don't like a product. In a retail environment, let's say, big shopping mall, then we had facial recognition softwares across the mall in digital signage, and then they would understand the person in front of them, whether they liked the product that was displayed or not. We had them in big retailers as well. And it really, really well worked to enhance the experience up until when the European Union stopped facial recognition softwares, banned facial recognition softwares from the market as a private kind of tool to enhance experiences. So right now is only used in public services such as airports, for like gate opening or CCTVs of the government. That's how my journey started in customer experience. Then I switched from marketing, from doing strategic marketing, corporate marketing, to customer experience across my career, especially in the latest experience of my career. Yes.
Right. And the other question I wanted to ask, and one of the reasons why I was desperate to have you on the podcast, is your book, Journey to Centricity. How did the idea come about to, write a book about customer experience and interview all these people and put those ideas together in a way that can help the businesses that you spoke about? What was that like, writing a book?
So thanks for asking this question. Not many people ask me why and, what is the objective of this book. So it really started from my experience in companies where I started noticing, regardless of the position I was holding in companies, but I started realizing, especially like in the marketing field, you realize that a lot of companies have their internal perspective of serving customers, but customers, of course, they have their external perspective, their own perspective. So there was this huge clash between companies' perspectives, right? Companies and customers, the way that customers wanted to be served and treated, and the way that the companies actually served and treated customers. So I started realizing these clashes, and also employees. So the way that employees wanted to be treated inside companies, and the way that companies actually treated employees. So these realizations were, of course, materialized when I was working in many different companies, whether as an employee, and then later when I quit my job in 2017, I started realizing that things weren't really that different in many, many different other companies where I started consulting and training. So it was a very general kind of approach, and a very general kind of, let's say, way of doing business. So then that's why I decided to write Journey to Centricity, because I thought there was a sort of like misunderstanding between the two entities, customers and companies. And if we really wanted to become, and the objective of companies, we assume, is to truly become customer-centric. But if we don't really put ourselves in the shoes of our customers, using that empathetic approach and look in the world from their perspective, we will never become customer-centric. So that's the reason why I started doing the research, doing all the interviews, and putting down content about becoming truly customer-centric.
Right. And one of the aspects that you touch upon in your book, obviously, is trust, like you mentioned, between organizations and customers. So what are some of the ways in which organizations or businesses can build effective trust mechanism with customers? Because we have a lot of things as customers that we give to this organization. One of them is data, like we spoke about earlier on. So how sure am I that this company I'm giving my data or money or whatever it is, anything, that I can trust them? What are some of the ways that we can do that, and lessons to learn from that?
So rule number 1, earning trust is about keeping promises. Is as easy as that. And a lot of companies believe that trust is a very untangible thing, is not measurable, and it's not really driven by tangible actions, right? But customer trust is the confidence and reliance that customers place in a business or a brand based on reliability, credibility, competence, and integrity. So 2 soft traits of trust with which we can earn trust from customers: integrity and empathy. Integrity, which refers to the ability to act under relevant moral values, right? So for customer, it means doing what's right ahead of what is easy, and it really means being credible through honesty, transparency, good communication that reflects the values and beliefs of a business. Empathy, the other second trait, is, as we said earlier, involves walking in someone's shoes, understanding their emotions, having a genuine commitment to improving the customer experience. Customers want to buy from companies that create an emotional connection. And empathy does create that connection if we are willing to listen and act upon customers' feedback and needs and expectations. Then the second hard traits are, the last 2 hard traits are reliability, which involves consistently delivering on promises made, as we said, whether it's product quality, customer experience, customer service, responsiveness of the brand to show up on time and communicate with customers. That's the reliability. Are you reliable as a company? Can I trust you that if I need an answer from you within 24 hours, which is your promise, you will deliver the answer in 24 hours, right? Then we have the last trait, which is competence. And as we know, competence involves the skills, knowledge, and continuous improvement of a brand to provide solutions that align with customer needs and goals. So, for example, and this includes also product quality as well. So service quality, are you a competent brand that can help me fulfill my basic need with your product, right? So, or are you a competent company that, do you have the knowledge to help me in my objectives? Customer service, for example, that is another really important branch of customer experience. So competence is, if I have an issue with your product, are you able to help me, quickly, promptly, and to resolve the issues that I'm facing right now? So these are the 4 traits with which companies can build or earn trust from customers. Now, building trust is an ongoing process, and it requires effort, actions, and dedication. It doesn't just materialize out of air, for example, obviously. We need to have a solid plan that we can take step by step and create that trust and to become a trustworthy company in order to earn that trust with customers. And that includes consistent communication, for example, so regularly communicate with customers through various channels, transparent communication. If there is an issue and we don't have to hide that issue. We actually earn trust if we communicate transparently and honestly with our customers about the issue that we're facing. That builds trust. Then, of course, we need to deliver quality products and services. If we say that we reply to our customers in 24 hours, then we need to keep that promise. Because if you don't keep that promise and you reply in 48 hours or you never reply, then you breach that trust, right? Then, as we said, transparency, then security and privacy, for example. I'm giving you my data, my personal data, and I expect that you as a brand, you have the security and you do the right breaches. So, cyber security checks in order to protect my data, for example. So we need to have robust customer security measures and clearly communicate those commitments to protecting customer information. That also is something that earns trust with customers. So there are many different ways with which we can earn trust, but we need to be willing to, and we need to have a solid plan to put that into practice.
Yeah, there's something you mentioned that took me by surprise, and I'd like to pull on that thread, and that was the bit about competence. When you spoke about competence, one of the issues that normally comes up when I have guests on for customer experience professionals is at the higher level, at the C-suite. You say that we have to be competent as an organization in all the services that we deliver, but the facts on the ground sometimes is the leadership isn't competent in CX in particular. And so you'll find a gap between the delivery and what their promise is, because like you mentioned, sometimes even the knowledge of customer-centricity and what it means in retaining customers is lacking. So how can people in between the top level and the customers try and help to bridge that gap so that the organization is moving in one direction and it's being pushed by the people at the top, because there's always a disconnect sometimes?
Yes, you are making a really important point and a very big issue that we have in customer centricity: lack of leadership commitment. if we don't have that commitment, it's very unlikely to have a customer-centric business. So how do we bridge the gap? We have to have that commitment from the C-suite, obviously. We need to have that effort. We need to have a solid plan. We need to have a vision, a customer-centric vision. So leadership has to sit down with the rest of the organization and think of a customer-centric vision. Draft a plan that backups that vision. So a customer-centric strategy that must be aligned with the business goals, obviously. So we need to have long-term business goals that are aligned with the shareholder values, with the, we need to have a customer-centricity strategy that is aligned with the business strategy and the shareholder objectives. So in order to do that, if we want to have the shareholders' commitment as well as the C-suite commitment, because most of the times, a lot of shareholders are not on board with the customer centricity strategy. And that's why most of the times the leadership is not really committed. So what we need to do, we need to help shareholders understand that satisfied customers and engaged customers often lead to sustainable profitability in the long term. So we need to communicate a strong business case in order to have that shareholders' commitment on board. And then, of course, we need to have a clear and a solid customer centricity plan. We need to have the rest of the organization on board. And in order to have the rest of the organization on board, and I mean the C-suite, of course, is the top, but I mean the rest of the organization, so middle managers, team leaders, and then employees that reside at the top, but also the frontliners. We need to, as C-suite people, we need to clearly communicate, not just with words, but with actions. So we need to buy their commitment. So the people at the bottom's commitment, basically. How do we do that? By sharing our actions, by sharing that we are committed to customer centricity, sharing the plan and put it into practice, and we modeling the behavior that we want to see from the people at the bottom. That's what basically we start shortening the gaps between the people at the top and between the people at the bottom in customer centricity.
Right, and one of the other ways that are being used right now is technology in general. Mm-hmm. It's easing some of the deliverables on the organization side, making it easier for customers. And a trend, obviously, that everybody keeps talking about is artificial intelligence. Of course, not everyone is conversant with artificial intelligence. So if you hear about it and you want to put it in your organization, where do you start? How do you do it? These are some of the challenges that are taking place. We appreciate what it is, but we might not necessarily have the competence to deploy it in an effective way. But, long term, how do you view technology, artificial intelligence, whatever it might be, in as far as effectively delivering a sustainable customer experience that will help everyone win on the customer side and on the business side?
I think technology and artificial intelligence is playing a really important role in customer experience. And I'm happy to see that it's shaping better experiences, overall. I do see a lot of companies that are rushing towards getting the latest piece of technology, whether it's a chatbot, whether it's a AI generative piece of, technology, software. What I really struggle with is the fact that at the bottom of many organizations, we have broken processes, We don't have a really shared understanding of customer centricity across the organization. We don't have really, we haven't really shared the effort and commitment that we were talking about a minute ago. But we want to have the latest piece of tech. Because why? Obviously, we want to cut cost, cut people in order to cut cost, operationalize. We want better efficiency, better operational efficiencies by the use of these technologies, without really taking into consideration the customer, which should be the people that reside at the center of the organization in the customer centricity world. I mean, if we don't have good processes, if we don't have the general understanding of customer centricity, a shared commitment of customer centricity across the organization, technology is not really going to help, because if we have a broken process is technology applied to a broken process is just going to be worse than make it better, So I've seen so many chatbots making worse customer experiences. And so why are we applying technology and artificial intelligence? Are we applying it for the sake of having it because we need to share with the world that we have a chatbot service, for example, or a chatbot channel, or are we applying it because we really want to deliver a better experiences to our customers? In that case, we need to really check and make sure that channel that we are providing is not worsening the customer experience. But in most cases, these channels get forgotten, get applied, but get forgotten. So my advice is always to start with the customer first and go backwards to the technology that we need. Yes, we do need technology, but we needed to use it and apply it and adopt it in a strategic way.
Yeah, and that brings me very nicely onto the story in your book about, I think it was your grandmother and the shop she had and the people she would interact with without using technology. But this was a way of being customer-centric, using the tools effectively that she had, much better than some companies do with the latest technologies, because she appreciated at the core what exactly customer-centricity meant for the business. And on that note, maybe just before we go, I'd like you to share with the listeners, what is the takeaway from your book, Journey to Centricity? If someone read that book in a nutshell, what would the takeaway message be?
So the main takeaway, it's summarized in one word: change, basically. Because I think, regardless of which approach we have, whether it's a product-centric or customer-centric, whether it is a people-centric, whichever way we want to call it, the business narrative is still stuck in centuries ago, with the main objective of maximizing profit. And that's fine, but it does happen at the expense of the people that surround us. So people inside the organization and outside the organization, and mainly the environment, mainly the society in which we live. So my objective with this book was to align and to combine customer centricity, listening to customers' expectations and values, which go beyond selling the next product, the next shiny product. Today, we have a new generation of customers, and actually their values and beliefs are actually being shared to all generations, right? So we're not talking about new generations anymore, but we're talking about the new customers. Today, we have the new customers who actually look at products, look at brands that don't just sell products, but they sell products, but they buy products from them as a political act. What does this product mean to me? what are you actually doing as a business? Why should I buy from you? So my main message with this book is, yes, be customer-centric, but being customer-centric is not just a strategy, but it's also a way to become better businesses and change the business narrative that it's been there for centuries and is harming rather than being good to the world outside.
All right. Well, Ilenia, that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you so much for all your insights. And before we let you go, can you just let people know where they can find you, connect with you, and obviously find the book and get it?
Of course. So I'm quite active on LinkedIn. I share tips and ways of becoming more customer-centric in a practical way, let's say, So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just go search me on the search bar, Ilenia Vidili. Or you can connect with me on Instagram, search me there as well. And you can find the book on Amazon especially. It's sold in all Amazon marketplaces. And the title is Journey to Centricity, a customer-centric framework for the era of stakeholder capitalism.
Well, thank you once again, Ilenia, and we wish you the very best. We appreciate having you.
Thank you so much.